Earlier today, I further discussed this case with Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, who opposes President Trump's tariffs. Please take a listen. What were your impressions of what you heard from the justices, and are there larger stakes for this case than just the future of Trump tariffs?
Oh, there are. The future of capitalism, I would start with, and the future of making our economy work for small businesses and farmers and ranchers. They're the ones that are roadkill in this whole thing because they don't have the reserves to pay for the parts for their machinery. Their farm soybean markets are drying up and the like. I'd say the atmosphere in there was kind of fitting for how serious this is. The justices, every single one of them, asked pointed questions, but what I noticed the most was at the end when Justice Gorsuch made it very clear that he felt that this power of taxation, as he called it, was unique, that it was Congress's power to delegate. I also saw the skepticism from a number of the justices about the fact that this statute called IEPA, sounds too happy for what it is, has a lot of words in it like regulate and all these things, but it doesn't have the word tariff in it anywhere. And many of the justices noted that, and that if Congress wanted to give this trillion-dollar project of allowing a president to assess tariffs across the world, maybe they would have said it.
When I asked about the stakes, you outlined the economic ones, Senator, but I wonder if there are larger constitutional stakes involved, because it seems to me one of the things the justices are going to have to deal with is this president's sweeping definition of executive powers. And it seems like this case is a very clear example of how he is interpreting things in ways no previous president has.
That's right, and this example just happens to hit home for so many people. There's many other cases where he's asserting that power with regard to criminal prosecutions, with regard to the use of war powers and the like. But the one reason I'm so focused on this, and was one of the senators leading an amicus brief to the court to help them make a decision, members of Congress can file these briefs, is because it really hits home for people. It's an abuse of the power that hits them in their pocketbooks, whether it's the cost of beef or the cost of bananas or the cost of coffee or lumber to build homes. All of this is at stake, and it was also interestingly brought not only by a number of states, but also by a number of small businesses, a fishing apparel small business, ones that are just mom and pop organizations that are just maybe have one or two employees. These kinds of businesses are really up in arms about this, and I think that's what you saw reflected in the judge's studious review of the facts and the studious review of the law. And so I came out of there being, how will we say in legal terms, Major, cautiously optimistic, cautiously optimistic that maybe we can save capitalism.
Senator, you might have read about it. There was an election last night. I'd like your response to the results. And the president today meeting with Republican senators saying, you've got to end the filibuster now. You have advocated for ending the filibuster before, calling it archaic. I'd like you to evaluate that as well.
Okay, so I believe you can have exceptions for the filibuster, as I did in the voting rights case. But what you have right now is the president knows that's not a reality. There are 15 Republicans, according to Senator Tillis, he has said this publicly, who have come out clearly and said they're not going to get rid of the filibuster. Let's put that aside. What I really noticed that the president said was that they lost for two reasons, and he was very clear about this. It wasn't as long as his usual social media posts. He said they lost because he wasn't on the ballot. That's his view, not mine. And he said they lost because of the shutdown. So to me, that was a call, and maybe the first opening we've seen to say, okay, we know this is a problem, and we need to do something about it. And everyone knows the only way this is going to get this done, and I'm glad my colleagues are negotiating in the Senate, but the only really way this is going to get done, Major, is if the president comes to the table. He is, you know, the author of the art of the deal. He controls the House. I mean, my God, they won't even come back to work without his okay. They've been gone for 7 weeks. And so we know that he has to be at the table. That's why Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer today said, okay, we're ready to go. Come meet with us. He's not traveling to Asia this week. the president. It's time to meet with them, and let's get the government open, and let's do something about these health care premiums that are hitting all 75% of the people that are hit by them. Doubling of premiums live in states Donald Trump won.
Senator, I ask this of Democrats all the time. What do you personally need to see? Do you need an assurance from the president that he will negotiate, then you'll open the government back up on health care? Or do you need a deal on the table that he is willing to essentially put his name behind before you will vote to reopen the government?
Major, I wish this was so easy as you and I could negotiate this. It's so clear what needs to happen here. I'll put in my 2 cents. I will make clear that I think health care, there has to be something done on health care. But the point is, in the end, the president has to come to the table and negotiate with the leaders of the Congress. Every shutdown, every budget impasse that didn't even turn into a shutdown has been negotiated with compromise. He knows that, and it's time for him to come to the table.
And do you see any prospect of that happening this week?
I would hope so. He's here, and we are ready to go. We are here. House, come on back.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat, Minnesota, always a pleasure. Thank you, Senator.
Great. Thanks, Major.